Hey there, everybody. This is Seb Burnett with the Backupz podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Tex.
I'm here. I'm present. What's up?
Yeah, you are. Today, we're bringing you an actual, lengthy show. It's been a minute, I think, since our Russell Clay interview. And ladies and gentlemen, have great news for you. We have actually released our official 1.0 mock drafts.
I couldn't be more excited about it, man. We put a lot of time and effort into this thing, and yet somehow I was still able to screw up my first draft and put. It's like you had one job, put one name down for 32 teams, and I put one name down twice. So,
no, it was it went through a process. Guys, the first one Tex sent me, he left off a very crucial player in this year's draft. Oh yeah, we gotta tell this.
You're gonna tell him?
He left off Saquon Barkley. All right. So I forgave him. I was like, dude, it's cool. You're a busy guy. It slipped your mind. I don't know how, but it did. And then he forgot Vita Vea on the next one.
By the way, I caught Vita Vea. I looked at my draft and said, wow, he doesn't slip to the second round.
No, he does not in any way, shape, or form. And then you put Connor Williams twice. Who did you, what was your replacement for that, by the way?
So I did have Connor Williams going to, it looks like, where was he going? Come here, Connor. Connor, where are you? Oh, 17 to the Chargers. And then I also had him going number 28 to the Steelers, but oh my gosh.
Oh no, what did you do?
I'm not, dude, I literally am just now seeing this.
Oh no, what did you do, buddy?
I have the Steelers on here twice.
Nice.
I can't win. I can't win.
You can't do anything right. It's all good. But we got a great show coming at you today. So sit back, everybody. Relax. Grab the ass of your favorite man, woman, or yourself if you're a single fuck. Grab a beer. And hey, Tex.
Yeah, Sebby.
Let's do this shit.
Ready, set, hold on tight, folks. We're bringing in the Backupz. It's the Backupz podcast with your hosts, Seb and Professor Tex. Let's do this thing.
All right, Tex, you wanna hear my beer pop? This beautiful, beautiful sound. You ready?
Oh yeah, let me hear it.
Oh God, yes. So this evening, ladies and gentlemen, I had a great weekend. I really did. I went to visit my girlfriend in Buckhead, and I walked in the door after I've been working all day, and she's the greatest. She's the greatest. The end. And she had for me a 4-pack of one of my current favorite beers, which is Sumo and a Sidecar out of Evil Twin Brewing. They're located somewhere in Europe, but they're going to open up a tap room in Brooklyn this summer. But she also bought another 4-pack of one of their other beers, and it's called, get this, I always felt closer to IPAs than I did to people.
That's the name of the beer?
That's the name of the beer.
That is priceless.
Relatable. It is, I got to tell you, Tex, you would love this beer. It's just a very good IPA. It's got some great fruit notes in the back. You know, it does have more of a base IPA taste than Sumo and a Sidecar, because what sets Sumo and a Sidecar apart is the fact that they use apricots, however you want to pronounce it. I always say apricots because of the Wizard of Oz, but still, this one is just a little bit different. But man, it is such a smooth IPA, Tex. You would love it.
Do you get a 4-pack because your hands aren't big enough to actually grab a 6-pack, or?
No, it's just because the cans are a pint.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good excuse.
Yeah. But yeah, so I dove in And yeah, I've been drinking these beers since. They're so good. All right, so let's get into it. We're gonna talk about a couple things I want to talk about before we jump into the mocks, if that's okay with you, buddy.
That is completely fine.
I want to bring up this Odell Beckham Jr. thing. We haven't really talked about it yet, but Tex called me. What was it, about a week and a half ago, right?
Yeah. I think it was right at a week ago, and I was watching ESPN, and Chris Canty, who was a former Dallas Cowboy, and then he signed with the New York Giants, and now he has a radio show for ESPN up in New York. He made a little bit of a slight prediction that said that he thought the New York Giants had basically an opportunity to jump up from number 2 to number 1, which I think I immediately called you and told you this, and then we just started brainstorming immediately. And magic.
That's what we always do, man. No, and I said, and we started talking a little bit about Odell Beckham Jr. and his, not playing, refusing to play if he doesn't get a contract, and the Giants having no money whatsoever really right now. Even though, I understand that Gettleman and them are really good at, finagling the financial situation in to their advantage, which is fine. But I think with a player as controversial and kind of volatile a little bit as Odell Beckham Jr. is, I don't know. I think the Giants are probably tired of him. Yeah, he's their best player and he brings in a lot of revenue. But I absolutely think that and my prediction is that Odell Beckham Jr. will be a part of a trade that will jump the Giants from the second pick to the first pick so that they can get their guy, Sam Darnold. Because in my mind, Sam Darnold is essentially Eli Manning.
Yeah, outside of appearance.
Well, outside of appearance, but I'm talking about like the things that they're known for, that Sam Darnold has known for in college, are kind of the same things Eli Manning has been known for throughout his career. When he plays, when it's a favorable thing, and when it's a not so favorable light.
Yeah, I definitely would kind of see the correlation. I think, unfortunately, one of the things that came out today was the owner basically said that he's upped what his asking price is for Odell. And it just so happens that it happens to be 2 first-round picks. Who has 2 first-round picks?
But I don't think they're going to get 2 first rounds. Even Schefter said he think it's going to be a first and a third or fourth.
Which is exactly what you and I talked about.
Right, exactly. And I think that swapping picks and a second is enough, right?
Yeah, but something I didn't think about is Odell's missed 17 games over the past 4 years.
Whoa.
So that's essentially an entire year. Yeah, he broke his ankle or whatever this past season, so yeah, he missed the entire season. But he's injury prone, and so giving up 2 first rounds for that, I don't necessarily know if I would do that either. But the main reason that I think we were looking at trading Odell and moving up to number 1 is what you just said. The Browns or the Giants don't have much room from a cap perspective. They're in rebuilding mode, whether they're going to come out and say it or not. I think Eli understands that, and most of the team understands that as well. So it makes absolutely no sense to keep Odell if the team isn't prepared to make an actual run. So you trade the asset while there's some sliver of value still there, especially with the whole video situation. You don't know what's going to come about with that. So I think it's a little ridiculous, and maybe they are just posturing, saying, oh, I want 2, but I guess we'll settle for 1 and a first and a second round.
Right.
But, who knows? I think, there's probably a dark horse out there that hasn't come out yet that could possibly jump, throw their hat into the mix.
Well, he said today that, apparently multiple Rams players are saying that he has told them he wants in on with the Rams. He wants in on that spree.
Well, why? I mean, come on. You're OBJ. Of course you want in on the Rams. If the Rams were in St. Louis, absolutely not. He would not even think about the Rams. But because the Rams are in LA,
yep,
that's why he wants to go there.
And the fact that they've spent so much on winning a Super Bowl this year.
True, but golly, the NFC has quickly turned into the West in the NBA, right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, just stacked.
You've got the Rams,
yep,
the Vikings,
yep.
Sorry, I'm going to say it, Falcons.
Yeah,
they're still there. They just had a down season.
But did they? That's my whole thing. Is I feel like
they did have a down season.
The season wasn't as down as because who comes back after a Super Bowl loss like that and does as well as they did? It's you don't see that a lot.
Something that I think was overlooked. Didn't the past 10 Super Bowl losers not even make the playoffs the next year?
Oh yeah, a significant percent of them did not, if not all of them.
And the Falcons not only made the playoffs, they won, and then they lost in the second round because they basically whispered into the Eagles' ear, "We're gonna roll to the right." And the Eagles were like, "Okay, yeah, we got it.
Oh, we got it. Okay.
We saw your formation. You didn't have to tell us anything. We saw your formation." And Sark ran this play in high school. So
the camera pans over and Sark is standing next to Chris Peterson, just whispering to him a little bit.
He's holding up a sign like it's college. It says, "Roll to the right."
No, it's just got a picture of Matt Ryan and then an arrow to the right,
pointing to Julio.
All right, we're gonna. I want to do something real quick. For those of you, I don't know if you've seen it, but last night Kevin Love received.
Oh no!
It made me grimace. It was pretty awful. Let me tell you what he did. Someone went in for a nice layup. Kevin Love went to defend it and caught an elbow that was moving in an upward trajectory in his mouth. And even with the mouth guard, his tooth got diagonaled, you guys.
Ugh.
Tex, watch this shit.
Hold on, are you going to send it to me?
Yeah, I just sent it to you right then. You see,
okay.
You see it?
Hold on. All right. Hold on. All right, I just clicked the link. Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Oh, there's just a picture. Oh, okay, here we go. I have to wait for a 30-second ad.
Is it really 30 seconds?
It's a 30-second ad.
It's literally the worst thing that's ever taken. What the fuck, ESPN? A 30-second ad for a 37-second video. What are you doing? How badly do you want to just fuck your viewers?
Well, pretty bad, because... No, I don't really have a comment. I was trying to think of something really derogatory or mean, but I couldn't think of it.
Not quite.
Yeah. All right, here we go. All right. Dribble the basketball. Kevin Love just went down. He's covering his face. None of his teammates are helping him because he's white. He's rolling. Oh, he took the mouthpiece out. Hold on. He's asking, how does it look? Ooh. Ooh, they just replayed it slow-mo again. I have no picture of the tooth. He's looking at it. Hold on. He just pointed to it. He's walking back to the
at 36.
Oh! That is nasty.
It's so
Why?
gross.
I should have signed a waiver.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. That's
not NC-17.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let you know right now.
And what's so funny to me, and it's amazing, is that so many people talk so much shit about Kevin Love not being tough, not being a gamer, being soft. I'm like, who is soft that smiles after that happens?
he pointed to his tooth and was like, "Is it still there?" Like, I guess there.
It feels funny on my tongue.
Golly, and he's in concussion protocol now.
Yeah, I mean, dude's a gamer. Like, anyone that says that, I feel like just doesn't fucking watch basketball. That's the only explanation I can think of, really.
And, well, he's white, so he's automatically soft. I'm sorry, but it's true.
I mean, that is a common thing that is said. Good God! Sorry.
You watch it?
No, I just saw the final for the Cavs Hornets, and LeBron went 14 of 26, 4 of 8 for 3. He had 10 rebounds, 8 assists, and 41 points.
41 points isn't a lot.
Yeah, it's just nuts.
Patriots scored 41 points multiple times this past year.
Dude, and for all you basketball listeners, like, what the fuck is up with Dame? Dude has been going ham this year. I'm super excited to watch it. I got into a nice discussion with some folks this past weekend at a bar that my girlfriend was like, "Don't talk to him about it. Don't talk to him about it. We'll be here forever. Don't do it. Don't do it." And I just, like, I couldn't help myself when somebody was just talking mad trash about LeBron James. I was like, "Are you insane?" Yeah, it was a trip. Anyway,
is he a free agent this next year?
LeBron?
No, Dame.
I don't know. That's a good question. I have to look that up. Damian Lillard contract.
I think.
But also, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to look up information like this, Spot Track. SPOTRAC.com is the best. No, he is not a free agent. He is signed up until 2021.
Okay, so then he just re-signed like last year.
Last year.
Okay.
His average a year is $27 million.
And you know what? They're on fire right now.
I know, man.
So.
It's just another team in the West that's going just nuts, man. And it'll be really interesting when, Kawhi comes back, and we don't have many games left in 8 or 9 games left in the regular season, and then it's game on, man.
It is game on, and I made some predictions before IT was traded and all that stuff, and I said I think the Cavaliers wouldn't make it out of the first round, so I think that's definitely changed. But I tell you what, the Warriors, those guys look about as vulnerable and as an afterthought as I've ever seen.
Well,
I know they have a lot of people injured, but still, that team is loaded for bear, and the only people getting love right now is probably James Harden and LeBron James.
Well, because you got the MVP discussions that are going on right now, and I mean, the Warriors, I don't think they're going to be too worried. Steph is going to be out for the first round of the playoffs, according to Steve Kerr. But my whole thing is they're probably going to play. Let me think. Who's 8 in the NBA standings? Is it the Jazz right now? Let me take a look.
I don't know. They're all bunched together.
Yeah, especially in that. No, the Timberwolves right now, so the Timberwolves, I'm not super scared of. Jimmy Butler, Jeff Teague just asked to come off the bench. I'm not overly concerned. I think the Jazz are going to make probably the most noise out of the bottom 4 seeds that you're coming into, unless Kawhi Leonard comes back. I don't know did you see the whole news about the players only meeting with the Spurs, in which everyone was asking Kawhi when he's going to come back?
Yeah, that's super awkward, right?
That's so awkward. I mean, I get it because it's all the vets being like, "Hey, man, we're all kind of old here. We'd love it if you came back to help us, or when are you coming back to help us?" And a lot of people, which, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with, I could see why, but a lot of people think that he's not even chancing coming back because he's a free agent next year.
Well, duh. Yeah. Why would you come back and play for the Spurs? You're not going to – I'm sorry. Kawhi sat back and looked at the West and was like, "I'm good." When he looked at his team, he's like, "I'm good." Popovich over there staring with 7 rings, 6 rings, something like that.
Right.
He's like, "I'm good.
No,
I'm totally good.
No thanks.
You can retire. You can retire. We need to get you a cane. Like, he ain't going back out there.
No, I mean, and he's going to get the super max next year. So, and he qualifies for the player exemption thing to where he just makes just an ass load of money. Like there's only been 4 other players to ever get it. James Harden,
LeBron James,
LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and I can't remember who else, someone else.
So here's the thing, though. Will the Spurs give it to him? Because the Supermax is only if you stay with your team because you get that 5th-year option.
Right. The whole thing is, I mean, no. I think if it comes out and it's obvious that the reason he sat out is because he wants to make that money next season and doesn't want to risk injury, I don't think there's any way that they want him back.
No, and then they'd for sure be in rebuild mode. And you know what? It could be a gift. It could be a parting gift by Kawhi, because if he does go out there and they, they start winning and whatnot, they're going to get, a worst draft pick. They're not even in the lottery. So maybe this is kind of like a parting gift. Kawhi saying, listen, I'm not coming back and you're welcome because you're going to have to, draft my replacement.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens, man. There's been some interesting games that have happened in the Eastern Conference this past couple weeks. The Cavaliers Raptors game was, I think, one of the best that we've seen this season, and I think it just goes to show that LeBron has their number. That's it. When LeBron James wants to win a game, he's going to win the game. That's it.
Yeah, it's also known as just LeBroning people, right?
Exactly, and that's what he does.
You gotta respect the king.
Yeah, he's the king. All right, so let's talk about our mocks. I'm gonna bring mine up. Bring yours up on your computer. Let's talk about this a little bit. Talk about what we thought of each other and the pick and all this stuff. Let's dive into that. Let me see if I can pull yours up.
No, don't pull mine up. I'll pull mine up. You pull yours up. Mine is horrible.
All right. Well, who did you have going with the Browns going with the first pick?
So I had the Browns. Actually, let me see. That's yours. There we go. So I had the Browns picking Sam Darnold. All the reports are right now, they're still coming out that the Browns they're not going to be moving out of that first pick spot, and they feel that there is a franchise quarterback in this draft. So I had them picking Sam Darnold, quarterback out of USC.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's generally where everyone's going with it these days. Actually, on mine, I went ahead and went with my call of the Browns and the Giants switching, because I think that there might be a bit of a smokescreen with how much the Browns like Sam Darnold. I think it might be a little bit of bullshit, and I think they really do like Josh Allen instead. So they're trying to goad the Giants into jumping up into that one spot. I think they succeed. And so what I have are the Giants at the first pick getting Sam Darnold.
Nice.
What about number 2?
So number 2, I had a few trades in my mock draft, but I essentially, picked the Bills, giving up both of their first round picks to the Giants. So the Bills jump up to number 2. They get their man of the future, Josh Rosen. Just a good quarterback that fits that New York, Northeastern, Buffalo vibe.
Right.
And so I had him going with Josh Rosen, and the Giants trading back, like we talked about, earlier in the podcast. The Giants don't have much cap room, and so it makes sense for them to trade out of that number 2 expensive, spot and load up on capital, like draft capital.
Sure.
And that's what I had them doing.
Well, what's hilarious is I don't know. Like I just agree with you, and they've been talking about it all week. Though, is that the new regime with David Gettleman, he's never traded picks.
Really?
Never traded the first round. Never moved down.
Well, it's the first time for everything.
Yeah, exactly. So at number 2, I had the Browns, and I have them getting Josh Allen, QB of Wyoming. He's the perfect physical specimen for this year. And I think it's a good situation for him to go into if, with Tyrod there. kind of bringing him into the pro system. And he gets to sit behind a consummate professional like Rod Taylor, who both Tex and I love. And Josh Allen has big hands, so he shouldn't have a problem throwing it in Cleveland weather. And I think that's a big deal.
Nice.
And he has a lot of weapons, so that helps.
Number 3 was the Colts. They traded it to the Jets.
That's official. That's officially happened.
Yes, that is in the books. I actually had the Jets selecting quarterback Josh Allen. I think there's no doubt that they're going to take a quarterback at 3. It's just a matter of what happens after 1 and 2, and then 3 will be right there. So
right. I had them getting Josh Rosen, actually, QB out of UCLA. I think it just made sense there. Josh Rosen is ready to play now. He's probably the most pro-ready quarterback in this draft. The biggest issue with him are injuries, really, is what everyone talks about, his shoulder history and his concussion history. And the fact that some people bring this up, the fact that both of his parents are doctors. They think that once he gets to the point where he's getting any big injuries or even he gets, a couple more concussions, I could see him quitting because, his family's loaded. He doesn't have to, He doesn't have to worry about money. He's not doing it for that reason. So I think it'll be people questioning how badly does he love, how much does he love football? All right, so we got the Browns picking at number 4. It's a pick they got from the Texans last year when the Texans moved up to grab Deshaun Watson, one of my favorite rookies from last year. What did you have happening here at the 4th pick?
So at the 4th pick, the Browns still keep this pick, and I just go with conventional thinking, which is, listen, we're going to take players that are going to be here for the long haul, that don't have a short playing, typically a short playing career. So I'm with Bradley Chubb, by far the number 1 ranked defensive end. They took Myles Garrett last year. Now they have another bookend on the other side of the ball with Bradley Chubb, and you just can't go wrong with that pick. It's very, very rare that a team in back-to-back years can grab the number 1 defensive end in both drafts, and I just think it's something that they cannot pass up.
Yeah, so. No, I agree. I think it'd be very difficult for them to pass up because, that's just and they have the players to substitute in and keep everyone fresh with Obi and then I can't remember the other guy's name, but it works out really well. I think they need to kind of work on the interior of the line, especially now that Danny Shelton's gone. Well, Danny Shelton's gone because they transitioned to because he just didn't fit the scheme at all. But what I looked at is I actually had the Bills trading up to 4.
Again, you had them. So you had the Giants going from 2 to 1 with the Browns, and then you had the hold on, the Bills or the Broncos?
Bills. I had the Bills trading up. I think that the Browns they're going to view, instead of the switching spots with the Broncos thing that I think could possibly happen depending on who falls. I think if Josh Rosen or Josh Allen is the one that's left, it's entirely possible that the Broncos want to leap up there to that number 4 pick. It's entirely possible. But in this scenario, I had the Bills giving up their 12th and the 22nd and then this year's second. One of this year's second.
I love that. I would absolutely love for the Browns to stack up some more draft capital.
Yeah, well, they miss out on Chubb and Saquon Barkley, but at the same time, it's like how do I say this? They have talent right now, and I think getting 2 more players, depending on who they like, at 12, which is a pretty good place to be, considering all the quarterbacks that are going to be going in this top 15. I think it's good value for them to wait and see who drops to them because you never know who could drop there. And I think getting the 22nd pick would allow them, if someone continued to drop past that 12th that they really liked, I could definitely see them using that 22nd pick and maybe one of their later seconds to jump back up ahead of the Cowboys and the Seahawks, maybe trading with the Ravens or the Cardinals. If the Cardinals just don't like their options there and they'd rather get the picks, then they could jump back up there and grab somebody that's left over. I see.
Long story short, a lot of movement.
I foresee a lot of movement in this draft. I really do. But I have the Bills picking at 4, and I have them grabbing Baker Mayfield. I think the Bills freak the fuck out when the Giants move up to the first pick, and I think they sell the farm to grab Baker. I don't trust the organization, but I love Baker Mayfield.
Very true. And, you have Baker going 4 to the Bills. I actually have Broncos taking Baker 5th. They had an opportunity to work with him during the Senior Bowl, and he got rave reviews there. They were at his pro day and spoke with him in great length at his pro day. I think that it's a sneaky good pick. He's actually slowly become one of my favorites in this draft. He's produced everywhere he's went. So that's my pick. Who do you have Broncos getting if the Bills jump up and get Mayfield?
Quentin Nelson, guard out of Notre Dame. I think that they have a revolving door essentially at the offensive line position. And what's really funny is that you're seeing all these reports and these talking heads talking about the Broncos actually like Chad Kelly a lot. And I'm like, no shit. I haven't been saying that since he was picked last year or anything. Of course they like Chad Kelly. He had a ton of potential coming out. He's just a dumbass in terms of his behavior. And guess what? A lot of college kids are idiots. So he comes to the pros. He sits in that organization, is forgotten about because he is literally Mr. Irrelevant.
He was Mr. Irrelevant, and I think he had ankle or wrist surgery or something like that last year.
He was out for the season. He had time to sit on that bench. I'm telling you guys, Elway likes Chad Kelly, and I think this could be one of the first times that I can remember that Mr. Irrelevant is actually a contributor.
No, there was I think a punter or somebody, a kicker or something like that was. That's contributing.
Like I said, relevant.
Oh, that's messed up.
All right. But the thing is, it's like you can't do anything unless you have an offensive line. And getting an offensive lineman of Quentin Nelson's stature, dependability, and his talent is going to be huge. It's going to help whoever's playing is going to help Case Keenum. It's going to keep him safe because Case Keenum needs to be kept safe. He's going to do his job. It's going to help their run game, which in turn helps Case Keenum because the Vikings were the 5th best running offense in the league last year. That helped Case Keenum so much. And guess what, guys? If they really like Chad Kelly and they believe in Chad Kelly, it saves that organization $11 million to cut Case Keenum next year.
Yeah. I think a little known stat about Case Keenum, he was actually the number 1 quarterback. He had the highest quarterback rating under pressure last year as well. So, little known stat about him.
Interesting. Super interesting. I don't know. One of Tex and mine's favorite things to do is make calls, right? We make calls like this is going to happen or that's going to happen. Obviously, we're wrong a lot, but this year we've actually been pretty right. If Chad Kelly actually develops into a starting quarterback, that's it. That
was a pretty good call. Yeah,
I would win the game. I joined the Broncos as their scout, and I'm just like, no, that guy's shit. Get rid of him. Do this guy. That's all I want to do.
That's pretty.
Just hang out with John Elway and look up at him because I'm short and he's tall. Yeah, exactly. All right. So number 6, we have the Indianapolis Colts after their trade with the Jets. So what do you have, Tex?
I think I'm 1 pick behind you here again. I have Quentin Nelson. On my board, he's still available. It is by far probably one of the best, BPA, best players available, still on my board. And I think the Colts they have to invest in their offensive line. There's no way around it. Luck comes back, theoretically speaking. I still don't believe it. Anyways, Luck is supposed to come back.
He's actually reported to be throwing again now, so we're good.
Yeah, that's nice. He's going to be throwing away his career if they don't draft Quentin Nelson at 6. So
yeah, well, in my draft, unfortunately for the Colts, they're just fucked because Quentin Nelson is not there. I have them going Bradley Chubb. Go ahead and get back to the defense and they'll focus on, I guess, offensive line in the second and third round. Hopefully something happens there. Or they could trade, because actually with those beautiful second round picks that they accrued in the trade with the Jets, I don't know, man. If one of these offensive linemen falls, Isaiah Wynn, James Daniel, Mike McGlinchey falls, I think they could use that and one of the second round picks and maybe a third to jump up and snag them, and that's okay with me. You know what I mean?
Or they could go Quentin Nelson and then get another guard tackle that falls in the second, and then draft Chubb or another running back, or probably a quarterback. Because Andrew Luck's going to die on the field if they don't draft some offensive linemen.
They don't protect him. No, I completely agree. But I have them going Bradley Chubb here. I think the value is good for them in terms of he's the best pass rusher, and they get him at 6, arguably the best player in the draft.
Never going to happen. All right, now that it's evident that you don't know what you're talking about, I'm going to tell you that the Buccaneers, with the 7th pick, draft. They actually get a gift in Saquon Barkley dropping to number 7 on my mock draft. And, after they cut Doug Martin, they really, they're looking for another offensive weapon. I know they have a pretty porous secondary, but, a lot of people are looking at, Minka Fitzpatrick or possibly Denzel Ward. But I think the Buccaneers cannot pass on such an elite running back option to help with, Winston and join that entire crew. So
no, I have Saquon Barkley going there as well. I think that if that's the case and they don't get solid players in the second and the third rounds, they're just going to have to hope they can win with a killer offense. That's going to be their only hope and a prayer for next season. So we'll see. Bears at 8. I had them. This is very cliche. I know. I have them getting Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker out of Virginia Tech. Matt Nagy is the new coach there, and he's an offensive guru. I think that's great, but I think that the Bears have done a good job in free agency loading up their offense. But I think this is the point with the value that they get with Tremaine Edmonds, who, in not at such a quarterback dominated draft, I think would be probably considered a top 5 pick.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the value is just too good, and he could just kind of plug into that secondary, or not secondary, but in the linebacking core, hopefully in kind of the inside linebacker area, and use his athletic ability there. I mean, he's 19 years old. He's got so much more time to develop.
He's 19.
He's 19.
Who? Tremaine Edmonds is 19.
I do believe so.
Oh, no way, dude. If he's 19...
Let me take a look.
Hold on. No way.
He's 19 years old. He is 19 years old. Yes, I was
Hold
right.
on. Why is nobody talking about Tremaine Edmonds being 19?
And a freak athlete.
Are you shitting me? I'm speechless.
For once.
He turns 20 in May 2nd.
Yeah.
He will
After
be
the draft. He'll be 19 getting drafted in the first round.
Okay,
probably
who's
top
the
15.
youngest. Yeah, hold on. Youngest NFL player ever drafted was Amobi Okoye for recently. It was a 2007 NFL draft. He was 19. He's 9. Well, hold on. This is. I don't understand. 19. Wow. Okay. That's really gonna mess with me for a little bit because
it just messed you up a little
freak.
bit. Yeah,
he's a freak.
Yeah, no, dude's a freak. I think he has a great career ahead of him, and I think the Bears are on the upturn, man. That's they got Kyle Fuller back. They've made some good moves on the in the offense, and I don't know, man. And they have good solid players in that defense as well. So Tremaine Edmonds, who did you have going?
I had Minka Fitzpatrick, right there with you. A lot of people consider Tremaine Edmonds nowadays. Now they consider him a little bit ranked ahead of Roquan Smith, and I think you and I were both in agreement with that. And his talent, like you said, outside of the quarterbacks, could be considered a top 5 pick. I'm right there with you. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick also falls into that line. And if you don't need a quarterback, you have a ton of opportunity at really good players falling to you. So I have Minkah Fitzpatrick, going safety out of Alabama, helping that Bears secondary, and Kyle Fuller is there. And
yeah, wait, I'm gonna read out a couple of names to you in that linebacking core that are there right now. Get you a little turgidity in your pants. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Floyd, Danny Trevathan, and then you throw in Tremaine Edmonds with them.
Be pretty badass.
Yeah, it would be very badass. So that's where I see them going with that pick. So what's next?
Well, in my draft, I actually have the 49ers selecting the first linebacker in my draft, which is Roquan Smith. Now, I personally feel like Tremaine Edmonds is a better talent, but the 49ers looked in a different direction, and I think that they look to kind of reestablish that old school, hard-nosed linebacking core that they used to have, especially with who was the guy back in the day? Takeo Spikes.
Yeah. Yeah. Takeo.
Was it Spikes, right? Takeo Spikes. So, so they take Roquan Smith, and
I like that. I like that a lot. And because what the deal with Roquan Smith, the people that don't understand, is like he's kind of undersized, and the biggest knock against him is the fact that he has difficulty shedding offensive linemen that come up to block him. And the way that you fix that is that you have a dominant defensive line that can soak up those blockers in that space and allow someone like Roquan Smith or Telvin Colvin for the Jaguars. It's the same idea. You got to be a heat-seeking missile, and that's what I've started to call that kind of linebacker, is the heat-seeking missile that can use his focus and speed and play-reading ability to get after these the playmakers coming out of the backfield.
Boom. Who did you have the 49ers getting?
Minkah Fitzpatrick, actually.
What a horrible pick.
You're a dick. I think that he fits the bill in terms of what the 49ers are going to look for in their kind of players. He's a gamer. He's versatile. He can be a captain for that defense. They have some good good pieces on that, but I think that Minkah Fitzpatrick definitely fits well with them, and it's great value considering, a month and a half ago he was considered a top 5 pick.
Very true. I think that'd be a great pick, especially because with Minkah, if you remember, he was Nick Saban's, essentially his golden boy. Nick Saban outwardly said that Minkah was by far his most favorite player to coach, and to go to an organization that has started the rebuilding process last year with John Lynch, and what they've built so far, Minkah would be an amazing addition to that team. So,
yeah, I'm right there with you.
What were you going to say about the
nothing? Move on.
All right, Raiders at 10. I have Denzel Ward, a cornerback, helps solidify that secondary. I think the Raiders have a ton of needs all over, and Denzel Ward is arguably the best quarterback.
Corner.
I said cornerback.
You said quarterback.
It sounded like quarter. I swear I said corner.
It's okay, buddy. It's okay. No, I love that pick. Pairing him up with
don't yell at me while we're recording. Let's start over. I have the Raiders.
Good God. No, pairing him up with his another Ohio State alum in Gary and Conley, their first round pick from last year. I think that's a great pick. I do. I like Denzel Ward. He's a little undersized, but man, he plays physical. He plays fast, and he's got an eye for the ball, which I really enjoy. I actually had them going Derwin James here. Derwin James is a name that, with all the sources that we have and the people I talk to, is a name that he gets thrown around a lot coming out of Florida State. He's versatile. He's fast. He's big, and he doesn't mind hitting. And I think that that's what the kind of players that we're going to be looking at a lot in the upcoming years, are these players that can be very versatile in the secondary, able to slide from, covering slot to covering the first or second wide receiver coming out, covering the middle of the field and zone, whatever.
You have to be hybrid nowadays, and I think that the game has changed a little bit, and the players are changing, and especially with teams going to kind of more of a spread offense type of situation, you have to have players that can not only hit but cover, and they're not just specialists anymore. They're literally specialists of multiple positions. So That's a good pick. I like it.
We got Dolphins at 11. I had them going. Well, I know it's trite and cliche, but Ndamukong Suh is gone now. I had them go ahead and drafting Vita Vea. I think he's a good piece to build around, and give some size to that defensive line, and have that defensive tackle there and let him do, because I think Vita Vea is a good player. I think he has a good ability to take up space and a good run defense, and then he can get to the backfield if he needs to.
I'm going to say this right now. Vita Vea is quickly becoming one of my favorite players in this draft. I too, actually, oddly enough, have Vita Vea slotted at the number 11 spot to the Dolphins. The Dolphins have a ton of needs. I think there's no question that they are in rebuilding mode. A lot of people have a quarterback going here. I don't see that happening. I see them taking, best player available, and it's hard to pass up a talent like Vita Vea. The dude is a monster, and I think it'd be a steal. So,
yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's good value, and I think that the defensive tackle position is a good one to start building your defense around. Not that they don't have good players. I mean, Cameron Wake is still on that defensive line, and he's an absolute beast. They have Kiko in the linebacking core, and I think that anytime you can have a defensive tackle that gets as much penetration as Vita Vea can and soaks up enough blocking space, it allows your players like Kiko to the linebacking core to roam and do what they're supposed to do. And I think that I think that's where we go. Even though it's not very splashy, which I feel like Adam Gase at this point is fighting for his job for another year as head coach of the Dolphins. So it's entirely possible they try to make a splash here with like a Lamar Jackson or something. But
let's be honest.
Who knows?
Adam Gase is not trying to make a splash. He signed Brock Osweiler.
That's true. That's
so
true.
No, he's already resigned. He's just a figurehead right now.
Yeah.
And I think as far as penetration goes, everybody knows if you ask Vita Vea's girlfriends and at Washington, he penetrates very deep into the backfield.
He penetrates real good.
Very good.
We got all right, so this is confusing, but Buffalo Bills via the Bengals, and in mine traded to the Browns.
I love it.
I had them getting a fucking prayer. If the Christmas came early, Denzel Ward, cornerback out of Ohio State, with all the pieces that they picked up in that secondary, getting Demarius Randall, that's going to be slipping over to free safety that allows Jabril Peppers to go down the strong safety where he needs to be. Denzel Ward at 12 is a fucking gift. As I said earlier, he's explosive. He's a little undersized, but he is a major athlete that's going to be playing for a while. And his coverage ability, what that's going to do is going to slow down the quarterback's ability to make throws, make them hesitate, and then Myles Garrett is going to feast.
That would be pretty cool if that ended up happening. In my mock draft, I actually had if you remember at 2, I had the Giants trading with the Bills, so the Giants moved back to 12.
Okay.
Moved out of that number 2 spot, so they picked up the 12th and 21st pick in the draft. And at 12, they went and did a long-term play because they still have Eli Manning for at least another year or two. And they took Connor Williams, offensive tackle out of Texas, to solidify that line. They still have Pugh, and they have a number of different holes on that offensive line. And I think a plug-and-play tackle to give Eli Manning a little bit more time and make sure that he doesn't break a hip if if he drops back, would be perfect. So voila.
No, I absolutely think that's a good pick. So what's next?
What's next? The Redskins at number 13, taking Derwin James, safety, FSU. Out of FSU. You spoke about him a little bit. The Redskins made a splash, pretty much the first person to do so this year, which was trading for Alex Smith. They have their quarterback of the future, kind of. So they take the best player available and somebody that can help their secondary, pair him up with Josh Norman and wreak havoc. So, like you said, he's somebody who can play multiple positions. But who did you have?
That's definitely a good pick. I actually had them getting Roquan Smith, linebacker out of Georgia. You know, we talked about him earlier and his abilities due to heat-seeking missile, you know, and they have some good players right now in that secondary or on that defense. You know, Ryan Kerrigan is still pretty good. Zach Vigil's pretty good. They gave away Kendall Fuller. They have Josh Norman. What was I thinking about? I think that's a good pick. And they just, what was that? Sua? What's his name? Sua? Yeah. Oh, they just traded him to the Broncos today.
Summa cum laude?
No, Sua Craven. That's who it was.
Sua Craven.
Yeah. They just traded him a safety. So I think that if that one of those top safeties somehow, some way falls to 13, it's entirely possible. But I think Roquan is good for their defense because I think every defense needs a player like Roquan Smith to be that guy.
Yep. Perfect. I like that. That's a great pick.
14. The Packers. I have them going Joshua Jackson here. Cornerback out of Iowa. Cornerback is definitely a need position for the Packers. They drafted Kevin King last year, but they lost a few pieces in their secondary in the offseason so far, Morgan Burnett, etc. He's a really big defender who's physical as hell at the line, and he can keep up, but his playmaking is very endearing. Not endearing, but it's tempting. A lot of people have them going like offensive line or receiver, but I just at where they are right now, I just don't like that value of getting like a Calvin Ridley here, and I don't like the value of a Connor Williams here or Will Hernandez. So I just have them going Josh Jackson.
Well, it's evident that you probably just took a look at my cheat sheet and wanted to get to players before I got to them. With that being said, I have the Packers taking Tremaine Edmonds, the 19-year-old kid from Virginia Tech. He's still on my board. I had the Packers pairing him up with A.J. Hawk. Just kidding. A.J. Hawk. A.J.
Nice.
Hawk. Pairing up with Clay Matthews. I think that'd be a pretty good tandem and potentially the number one overall linebacker or the best linebacker in this draft. So, that's what I do.
No, I think it's a good pick, with to pair up with Nick Perry, and definitely they paid him a lot of money. He hasn't quite done what he was supposed to do, but yeah, I think that's a good pick. If Tremaine Edmonds falls that far, that's great value for the Packers.
Yeah, but Perry and Edmonds, I feel like they are so versatile that they have the opportunity to play not only.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, it's a great thing for them for sure.
If it happens, right?
If that occurs,
a lot of people have at 15 the Cardinals going with a quarterback, and I think I don't have a quarterback going here. I have a cornerback going here, but I do want to talk a second. Well, let's see. You know what? I won't talk for a second. I'll let you be the one to introduce your pick because I'm pretty sure I know what it is. I'm going to say I have a cornerback, Joshua Jackson, out of Iowa going. Again, it's late in comparison to your draft because you always like to be first. But great talent, super intelligent, cornerback. And, his instinct, he's very instinctual on the field. And I feel like it's definitely going to, translate to the next level. And, they just lost the Honey Badger. So pairing up Jackson, somebody who can play multiple positions in the secondary, with Patrick Peterson and especially in their division is going to be a pretty smart move. Who do you have the Cardinals taking?
Mike Hughes, cornerback at UCF. You know what's really interesting? For those of you that listen to Matt Berry's podcast, Stick to Football, our two picks right here are the exact same, and I had them done before Matt Berry, so I'm totally convinced that motherfucker has like a bug on my computer or some shit. He's just stealing my picks.
Let's be honest. He's listening to the podcast. I mean, he's listening to the podcast.
Yeah, he sent me a message. He was like, dude, I wish my podcast was as good as yours. Good one. Yeah, it just, the value here doesn't make a lot of sense to me in terms of going quarterback, which they need, because you can't go into next season with Sam Bradford and who else was it?
Exactly.
Exactly. Mike Hughes coming out of UCF. Not a lot of people know him that aren't, as in depth in the draft as we are. He's a great athlete. He only started for 2 years. He only played 2 years of college football, and he only started for one. He's got some things to shore up. He has all the physical abilities. He's very aggressive. He tracks the ball really well, like receiver well. He has great body adjustment. I think that pairing him up with someone as experienced and as fucking awesome as Patrick Peterson, I think it shores up their cornerbacks for years to come.
Well, either way, I think one thing to note is you and I both have a cornerback slotted at 15 for the Cardinals. A lot of people are talking about potentially the kid from Louisville, the quarterback. What's his name?
Lamar Jackson. And you and I kind of... How dare you?
I had a brain fart, but as evident of my horrible mock draft, I don't understand. The only excuse I can say is I have ADD. But what I'll say is you were in love with him. You kind of fell out of love with him, and now you're back in love with him again. Is that...
Okay, my whole thing with Lamar Jackson is that I think he has the potential to be the best quarterback in this class, bar none, hands down. I think he has the potential to be better than Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, all of those guys. But I think he needs to go to the right situation where he can sit on the bench for a year or two, learn from a pro, develop his skills, develop his where he's throwing the ball from, and using his hips a little bit more to get a little bit more like a more natural throwing motion instead of the Mike Vick just kind of slang it, and develop the habits that are necessary. Because we're hearing from the rumor mill guys that he did not hire an agent. He does not have an agent. He has like a financial manager and stuff, but he wasn't participating in these QB camps that are part of the draft process. When you go to the combine, we hear that he struggled during the interviews with different concepts, which is something that like they teach you at these QB camps. Literally, if you're not stubborn and you just do these things like these other people are like you're supposed to do, if you're one of the top quarterbacks, they teach you everything you're supposed to say. And you learn also how to be a better quarterback. He needs to go to the right situation. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the draft, but yeah,
nice.
That's where I am with him.
Ravens. A lot of people have the Ravens slotted for a wide receiver or a running back. I personally have them going with Marcus Davenport, who is another player that I am quickly becoming very, very in love with. Not from a physical appearance standpoint. Nothing against you, Marcus, but you're just not my type. But you're a physical freak, and I love his his playing ability. The Ravens run a little bit of a hybrid 3-4 defense, so they'll be able to move him around, even though their defensive coordinator just went to the Tennessee Titans. They're still going to, stick with their 3-4. So, I think he's got a ton of potential. So.
Yeah, no, I like Marcus Davenport here as well. I just think that the connection between Ozzie and fucking Alabama is just too great. It's his alma mater, and I think that they go Calvin Ridley here. It really helps with Flacco's inability to throw the ball anywhere past 9 yards on the field. And Ridley is going to need to make some circus sketches, and he's just got to pray to the good Lord above that he doesn't like run into Vontae's perfect, and because Vontae's just going to reach in, he's going to get him up real good. He's just going to smell your ear a little bit, just give you a little sniffer, like Tremors, just the little fucking things coming out, just get a little smell in there. You know what I'm saying?
Like a freight train.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to see that happen to Calvin Ridley because I like Calvin. I think he's a good player, and I think he's going to be fine in the NFL. All right, Chargers 17. What do you got?
Daron Payne. That's all I'm going to say.
Explain.
No.
You're not going to explain it? That's all you got?
If you don't know who Daron Payne is, you're about to find out. And, pairing up him with that defense literally gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. The Chargers were kind of struggled with run defense last year, and I think having Daron Payne, who is a great run stopper at defensive tackle, definitely helps between those two fucking monsters they have on the ends. I'm very excited to see if that's the case. I'm very excited. I have them going Connor Williams, offensive tackle out of Texas. I think that protecting Rivers in his final years and letting him get the ball to the playmakers, and then using that run game with Melvin Gordon and that rookie that I really like. I can't remember his name right now, but
Williams.
I think that's the most important thing. Williams is big, he's athletic, he's nasty, and he will be protective as shit of Grandpa Rivers for sure.
Oh my gosh, he is so old, and he's like an old cowboy too.
I know, and I love him. I love him so much. He does not give a fuck. He just wants to win and play ball, baby. And he's in Los Angeles now, so he's like, yay!
He has a $150,000 like limo Suburban that he uses when he's going to LA because they were in San Diego and he didn't want to move. So basically, it is like a mobile hotspot. Satellite radio. He's got like a 42-inch TV in the back where he watches game film in traffic. Mind you, I go to LA probably 3-4 times a year. Traffic there is no joke. It makes you want to pull out a gun and shoot the person next to you, not yourself, but the person next to you. And it's hilarious that he has a driver because it takes him 2.5 hours every day to go to work and back. So he's like, to hell with it. I'm gonna, put a 42-inch screen and watch game film while you are driving.
And he watches game film. That's the best part because like Rivers is a professional. He's a great quarterback. In my opinion, I think he should be considered for the Hall of Fame when he comes out. I think that in no way, shape, or form do I think it's his fault they never won. What years were those? That was like, God,
2004,
how long?
5, 6?
Yeah, when it was like the Peyton Manning Colts times.
With Damian Tomlinson. That was Patriots.
It was not his fault that they lost those games. Like he played his heart out, played good enough to win, no matter what. Moving on to the Seahawks at 18. I had them going Will Hernandez, offensive guard out of UTEP. Dude's a beast. Seahawks transitioned to that power scheme last season. I think Will Hernandez excels in the power scheme, but I think that he can do well in the zone blocking just because he's that athletic. But I just can't wait to see like that neck roll that makes him just look huge from the back, just like a fucking monster. And a note to the Seattle Seahawks: if you don't give Russell Wilson some protection,
he might die.
He might die, considering they got to go against Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald twice a year. He needs Will Hernandez on the inside.
On his inside.
Sure. Good God. All right, who'd you have?
So I had a shocker here, and I have
the shocker?
Not the shocker, but it could be.
Okay.
Depends on what end you're at. So I have the Seattle Seahawks trading with the Falcons. There's a little bit of history there, right? Dan Quinn. Pete Carroll. They said, okay, Pete Carroll, you guys are in a rebuilding mode. Why don't you, trade back with us? And, with this pick, we'll jump up. Falcons are in a win now mode. They have to win. They have to get a guy for their offensive line. I have them picking Isaiah Wynn, offensive guard out of Georgia. I know they just signed a guard, but it doesn't hurt to solidify and get a little bit of depth on that offensive line. The person they signed was a free agent. So, it's hit or miss. Somebody like Isaiah Wynn, who's just, he's a gamer, man. I mean, he's going to come in there. They're going to get the best guard on my board, in my opinion, and somebody that is a local boy. He's went to Georgia. So that's what I have. I have them trading up.
Well, I like it. That's a good pick. Yeah, they did get Brandon Fusco from the 49ers on a 3-year deal. I think that they're going to be happy with him maybe this season. I don't love that. I think having depth is kind of the big important thing right now. And I would not mind at all if they got Isaiah Wynn right there. Not even a little. As long as they didn't have to give up too much, of course.
Yes.
Right. Because, I mean, my whole thing, as long as it's not like a second round or a third round pick, because honestly, the way that Thomas Dimitroff and Dan Quinn have been choosing second and third round players these last couple of years, I don't want to give up those picks at all.
Nothing. I just like the silence, like I didn't say anything.
I hate you. I really do. All right. Cowboys at 19. I have them going Cortland Sutton.
Because you're a dick.
No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that.
You're such a jerk.
Deron Payne, defensive tackle out of Alabama. Great interior defensive lineman. Great against the run. Can get penetration when he needs to. He went off in the national championship. And ladies and gentlemen, that was against players like Isaiah Wynn on the offensive line of Georgia.
No, it wasn't. So I have... The reason why the Falcons traded up to number 18 was so that they could jump the Cowboys and get their guy, somebody that they really wanted. The Cowboys sat patiently at 19, let the player drop to them that they needed, which was Will Hernandez. Again, I'm one pick behind you, and I have Will Hernandez going to the Cowboys. Helps that offensive line.
Nice.
So, especially after they lost Jonathan Cooper.
I think the depth will really help them for sure. All right, moving on to the Lions at 20. Who do you got?
Lions. Let me see. Harold Landry. Don't confuse him with Harold Laundry. I do that a lot. But yeah, Ziggy Ansah is on the final year of his rookie contract, and
well, he just got franchised,
right? You got franchised. Yeah. Okay, so he was a free agent, got franchised. One of the two. Basically, he's there for one more year. I think they draft either his successor or a long-term playing mate or teammate with Harold Landry, defensive end out of Boston College. So.
Yeah, I have the same thing. I think Harold Landry. If you haven't checked it out, guys, we just recorded and released our What the Fuck Lions, the 32 and 32 ish on the Detroit Lions today, actually. So go and give it a listen for a little bit more in depth into their previous season and what we foresee them doing in the draft more so, and then in the future. We both have Harold Landry here. I think that Matt Patricia puts a premium on players that are going to be versatile, and I think Harold Landry is versatile. He didn't have a great 2017 due to injury, but his 2016 game tape is bananas, and I think that that's the kind of pass rushing playmaker that Matt Patricia is going to want on his defense.
Ananas. Bananas. This is okay. Sorry. Sorry about that.
All right. Keep going.
Don't stop. Okay, let's move it along. Bengals at 21. They are, kind of going through a transition period right now where they don't know if they want to win or if they're, going to rebuild. And I say that because they kept their head coach around. So it leads me to believe that they don't want to win and they're going to be rebuilding. But they also have Vontaze Burfict, who is like a psychopath on the field and also off the field, where he takes PEDs and gets banned for 4 games. So I have them taking Rashawn Evans, linebacker out of Alabama, somebody to come in, and just a plug and play linebacker to fill that need for the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think they go linebacker. I think that's definitely an option depending on what they're feeling and how the board falls. On my board, I have Isaiah Wynn falling that far, and I think that they snag him up just to pair him up with Cordy Glenn on that offensive line. I feel like they're going to go more to an established running game with Joe Mixon being their second-round pick last year. I think he's got a lot of talent. And then Andy Dalton, has his physical limits to what he can do as a quarterback, and I think that keeping him upright and safe is of the utmost importance in getting the ball to all of his playmakers. Wynn's a diverse and fantastic guard, and he should be able to plug and play.
Plug and play. Love it.
All right, Rams at 23. Who you got? Oh, wait. No, wait. Sorry. 22.
22.
Go ahead.
So in my draft, I had the Bills were at that pick, but they traded up and they traded with the Giants. So the Giants now are back with their second pick in the first round, and they go on the other side of the ball this time with it's a little bit of a reach, but I still think it's a good all-around player. He's slotted as a first-round potential or second round, depending on how the board falls. But I have Sam Hubbard, defensive end, outside linebacker for Ohio State, and just a good all-around player, tons of potential, and he's white, and I think that can't be overlooked. So,
good God. I like the pick. In my draft, I have the Browns here, and I have them grabbing a Leighton Von Der Esch, linebacker out of Boise State. He's an athletic and rangy guy. He's going to be able to make plays all over the field for this newly revamped defense. I think he's going to have plenty of time. That depth along the defensive line has allowed him to be the heat seeker that I imagine him to be. He's great at reading plays, and he's quick, man. He's a very athletic guy, and he definitely, his stock shot up because post just regular college football season, he was like a second or third pick, and then at the combine and at the combine, he just went off, man. He just went bananas, and he jumped himself up into the bottom of the first round, and I think going to the Browns is perfect for him.
Nice. Rams 23. I have them taking Calvin Ridley, which that's, I think, let me see, that is the first wide receiver off the board for me. A lot of people had him slotted in, top 15, but he drops to the Rams, and like you mentioned before, excellent route runner, really fits their system. This could definitely change in the next few weeks, especially if there's a lot of chatter about Odell Beckham going to the Rams. So if that happens, obviously this pick might get changed. But for right now, I have them grabbing Calvin Ridley. So.
Nice. That's a good pick, man. I definitely think he fits with McVay's system, and McVay's the coach in the NFL that's going to know how to best use him for sure, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. I have them going Marcus Davenport, defensive end out of UTSA. I think Robert Quinn is gone. They gave up their athletic linebacker, and Alec Ogletree got sent over to the Giants. I think that a line that has, good God. Sorry, it just makes me happy thinking about it. Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh, and Marcus Davenport is just...
Makes you scratch your head and go, why did I pick this sport if you're an offensive lineman that has to face them?
If you're the 49ers offensive line, it just makes you wonder what you did to the God above to give you this fucking plight. Yeah. It's like a plague. Yeah, it really is, dude.
Which kind of goes back to one of the reasons why I think the 49ers should take an offensive lineman. But, we'll see. Panthers 24. I have them taking James Washington. Ding, ding, ding. Seb's,
Nice.
I'd probably say one of your top 3 favorite players in this draft.
Yeah, for sure.
Oklahoma State.
100%.
We talked about him in great length before, but long story short, he's powerful, aggressive, ball hawking ability, and somebody that the Panthers need. He fills an immediate need. They lost, Kelvin Benjamin, and they take another chance on an Oklahoma State wide receiver. I say another because they also drafted. That was the Jaguars. Sorry, just kidding. But so they take a chance on James Washington and have fun.
Oh God, that would make me so happy. I love James Washington. You guys, if you haven't had a chance to watch film on James Washington, dude's a beast. Like he's a great wide receiver in my opinion. I actually have kind of surprise pick. I haven't seen any other mocks in which this has happened. I had the Panthers getting Darius Geis, running back out of LSU.
Which is intriguing because every year you look at the draft, the first round, after everything is said and done, and you go, no way did I see that happening. And I feel like this is one of those picks that nobody's talking about. It and with respect, it probably won't happen, but
sure.
It could, and it would be intriguing that the Panthers get a running back last year in the top 10, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Christian McCaffrey.
Yep. Out of Stanford, but Geis would be like the thunder to McCaffrey's lightning. And
yeah, exactly. McCaffrey is definitely more of a pass catching running back that uses his speed and sweeps to, and his quickness to make his plays. And Darius Geis is a violent up and down runner. He's a one cut guy. He can run away from people if he needs to. But I don't know. I feel like this is going to take a lot of pressure off of Cam Newton's arm. And I think that, I don't know. I just like the idea of Darius Geis going here.
Boom. I love it.
Even though if there is an offensive guard like James Daniels or somebody here that they like, or one of Will Hernandez drops, I think they go offensive guard here just because they lost Andrew Norwell.
There you go. All right, I dig it.
Titans at 25. I had them going Rashawn Evans, linebacker out of Alabama. I think Evans is a great fit in that Titans 3-4. He's a rangy workhorse inside linebacker that'll excel given the space and room to diagnose and attack. That defensive line they have is actually pretty underrated. I think they have some really good pieces there. He can be a beast in run support, and he actually has some pass rushing ability that I really like.
I'm right there in the same ballpark as you. I too have the Titans taking a linebacker. They've addressed a lot of their needs in free agency in their secondary, and I think that was one of their weak links last year was their defense. So Leighton Van Der Esch, I don't know if you can say his name without sounding ignorant and German. Right? Like you
really can't.
You cannot say it. I actually challenge you to say it. Like, I'll do it. Ready? Leighton Van Der Esch. I can't do it.
No, it's impossible.
So,
literally impossible.
Anyways, yeah, I've got them going there. 26 is Falcons for you, right?
Yeah.
Who do you got?
I have to get him Maurice Hurst. Okay.
Sorry, keep
That's
going.
rude.
Keep going.
Defensive tackle out of Michigan. I think he's a quick twitch, athletic interior defensive lineman that uses more speed than power to make his mark on the field. Like, he's not a super powerful guy. I think he probably needs to work on that a little bit when he gets in there. But I think having him between Tack and Beasley and alongside Grady Jarrett, and Dan Quinn for sure knows the value of a defensive tackle that has the ability to get into the backfield and disrupt the opposing offense in terms of handoffs or the quarterback dropping back. I think that they're going to be happy with Maurice Hurst here, considering how everything fell And I think they feel like they solidified their guard issues in free agency.
Nice. And if I'm going to look at this real quick. So Maurice Hurst is eerily similar in size to a guy named Sheldon Richardson. So Maurice Hurst is 6'2", 285. Sheldon Richardson is 6'3", 295. So, yep. And, Dan Quinn was there when Sheldon Richardson was drafted and was a pretty big integral part in that defense for the time that he was there. I would not be surprised at them taking Hurst at all. He is a little undersized, but we're talking about an inch, right? Like, really complaining about an inch and 10 pounds. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad pick at all. But, in my draft, I had the Falcons jumping up, grabbing a guard, and the Ravens quietly, calmly traded back with Seahawks.
You mean
Seahawks? Sorry,
Seahawks
traded back with the Falcons and took Billy Price, offensive guard, center for Ohio State, really solidified that offensive line. Seattle's in a rebuilding mode, and not only do they, get somebody for their offensive line, but they get some draft capital and probably pick the person that they would have picked anyway, because Billy Price is very, very versatile. So that's what I have.
No, I like the pick. I think it's good. I don't love Billy Price going before James Daniels. I love James Daniels. I think he's one of my favorite kind of, into the first round players. But yeah, I like it. So what do you got for the Saints?
I have Colton Miller, offensive tackle, UCLA. This guy is freaking huge. He's 6'9", and the last I checked, you cannot teach 6'9". Trust me, I'm 5'6". I've tried to teach 5'8", and I can't do it. So, this dude is massive. And while, yes, Drew Brees is, pretty short and might be a little bit of a struggle to see over the 6'9" behemoth, he's not going to be playing there forever. And chances are they're probably going to get a little bit of a taller quarterback next time. And, listen, they're at the end of the first round, pick 27. So there's a little bit of risk here because I think there's only been 3 offensive tackles ever taken, or offensive linemen, that were 6'9", and all 3 of them were failures. But
so we'll I'm with you. It was the first time for everything,
trust
right?
Trust me. That is very true.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same boat, sort of. I have them going James Daniels, as I was just talking about, speaking of the devil. Offensive guard center out of Iowa. The Saints really need to get some youth on that interior line. Number one, to protect Drew Brees currently, and to go ahead and make that not a big concern when, whoever they get to, whoever the next guy up for the Saints is. Whether a lot of people have Lamar Jackson going here. I like that idea. They have Jermaine Bushrod right now, but I think he's just a Band-Aid. So what they would need to do in that situation is get Lamar Jackson here, and then they would need to draft an offensive lineman in next year's draft. They got a really big hit on an offensive lineman last year, and Ryan Ramczyk came in and he started. I think continuing the youth movement on that offensive front makes a lot of sense. James Daniels is a great run blocker and great pass blocker. He's great on the line and making the calls if he ever were to switch over to center. And I think that allows that Saints balanced offense to continue running a lot at the end of Brees' career.
Nice.
Steelers 28. We're getting home stretch, baby. Home stretch. Spill it.
You go first. I want to hear who you got.
This may seem atypical. Ronnie Harrison, safety, out of Alabama. How do I say this? Ronnie Harrison's really good. I think so. A lot of people have him actually better than Minkah Fitzpatrick, surprisingly. But I don't think that being the quarterback of the defense is his strongest trait, but I think he's fantastic in the box. He plays ultra aggressive against the run, which works really well for this defensive setup. And I think that the Steelers front office is going to fall in love with his athletic ability, and they're going to snag him up here for the value.
Okay.
What about you?
So I have a little bit of a reach in terms of the player that I picked, not because of talent, because in terms of talent, he's a top 10 talent, but it's his off the field issues that are basically making him drop. And I'm talking about Arden Key, linebacker out of LSU. He is a top 10 talent, and it's eerily similar to the same spot where Reuben Foster went last year. Foster went 31st overall to the 49ers, who jumped back into the first to grab him. And Foster, from a talent perspective, I mean, he had the second most tackles for the 49ers last year, played lights out, but it was the off-the-field issues. I mean, this year alone, he's had 2 or 3 arrests in like a 2 or 3 week span. So hasn't been a good offseason for them. But the Steelers, unlike any other franchise, are masters at extrapolating as much talent as they can out of you, while also limiting any sort of distractions. And I don't think there's a better place for a linebacker to go with his skills and issues that have come up than the Steelers. Mike Tomlin is a great coach, and he has a great staff. And it fits a need, right? Like ever since Shazier stepped on a crack and broke his mom's back.
So fucked up.
That's really messed up, right? They've needed somebody to kind of come in there and fill the hole
And
that was left. Yeah, and his spine. The hole in his spine. That's not funny.
We're terrible people, man. That's awful. Get well soon, Ryan Shazier. Trust me, we both really do love you as a player. We're just assholes generally. At 29, we got the Jaguars, a team that we're getting to like that part of the draft in which like these teams are deep. They like this is, you know what I mean? They don't have a ton of holes to fill. Who do you have them going?
I have them filling their biggest hole. You and I talked about it plenty of times. Wide receiver. I have DJ Moore out of Maryland. There's been a few wide receivers taken. But the Jaguars just get the best player on their board. I think he fits not only a need for them, but he also fits Tom Coughlin's prototypical wide receiver, what he looks for in a wide receiver. So Odell Beckham is 5'11". Justin Blackmon was 6 foot. While Coughlin wasn't there for Blackmon, days. He was integral in drafting Odell Beckham Jr. So DJ Moore comes right in the middle of that at 6 feet tall. 6 feet tall. Blackmon was 6'1". I apologize. Anyways, but yeah, he's got great speed. And the wide receivers in the league, you look at somebody like Antonio Brown, who isn't your prototypical 6'2", 6'3", lengthy, tall, amazing wide receiver. He's a little bit on the shorter side. DJ Moore has every opportunity to come into the Jaguars, not only fill a need, but also be kind of like a new age Antonio Brown type player. So I took a long time to say that.
No, you did. I think it was really well said, though. I actually have them going Mike McGlinchey, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. The left side of their line is actually really set now. They drafted Cam Robinson last year, and he did relatively well. They signed Andrew Norwell, the guard, away from the Panthers. The right side has some issues. I think Mike McGlinchey automatically is able to slide into that right tackle spot and really solidify, their bread and butter, which is running the ball with Fournette. Mike McGlinchey has a few flaws. He really needs to develop his strength to counter like bull rushing interior defensive linemen. But I think he's a good pick here. But don't be surprised because of Tom Coughlin's history and the kinds of, the Bill Parcells protege that he is. Don't be surprised if they go Mason Rudolph here. At all.
Pick.
I'm telling you, it's entirely possible they go Mason Rudolph right there.
Well, it is because on your horrible mock draft, Mason Rudolph is still available.
He's available on yours too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Good God. Let's finish this. 30, the Vikings. What do you have them doing?
Isaiah Oliver, cornerback out of Colorado, just an amazing value pick. They have a surplus of talent on their team, and when you have just pretty much everything you need on your team, why not add depth? And Isaiah Oliver comes in. He's a physical freak. But you know what? It runs in his family. He's actually comes from a long line of, just great runners. His dad was actually played in the NFL, but he was never around. So this is an interesting stat that you might not know. His dad wore number 37, and I think, or maybe it was 73, and Isaiah Oliver wears 37 or one of the two. So just an interesting side note. But yeah, I have them taking Isaiah Oliver.
Okay. It's a good pick. I have them getting Jair Alexander, cornerback out of Louisville. He's a twitchy. Jair. He's a twitchy, quick cornerback. He's got a great ability to recover and get to the ball. In my opinion, I think the Vikings saw an issue last year when they were exposed in the NFC Championship game. And adding an athletic playmaking like cornerback like Jair Alexander is a huge step towards solidifying an already great defense. And I think that adding this kind of depth is a great idea, especially with Newman turning 39.
And again, we're getting into splitting hairs. After pretty much the first 5 to 10 picks, at the end of the day, you said a different cornerback than I did, but I think we see them going cornerback. The value is there. They're late in the first round, so
right, yeah,
good pick. Yeah. Patriots at 31 have a long history of loving them some Nick Saban offspring. I have them going Ronnie Harrison, safety out of Alabama. You spoke about him a little bit earlier, but they definitely need some help in their secondary. And I think, a hard-hitting, really good defensive player that, comes in and can immediately fill a hole. And hopefully if they make it back to the championship game, the Super Bowl, he won't do anything to piss off Bill Belichick and get benched. So
one can only hope. At 31, I had the Patriots going Taven Bryan. He's a super athletic defensive tackle out of Florida. I think he's better than his college tape shows and his college production is. I think that Bill Belichick is going to be really intrigued because it's not like they don't like Florida players. It hasn't always worked out. But he's
Tim Tebow.
It hasn't always worked out, or no, I'm sorry. His athletic ability and it's like the potential ceiling that Taven has is ridiculous. Like I think he has the potential to be one of these defensive tackles that gets like consistent pressure on the inside. You know what I mean? In the backfield. And I think that's huge for Bill Belichick. I think offensive tackle and cornerback are potential picks here. But I think Bill is going to wait to find those later for like what he sees as value.
Very true. 32, the Eagles have the most coveted spot in the NFL draft. That is the 32nd pick, which means that they won the Super Bowl. I have them going Christian Kirk, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Alshon Jeffries is still with the team. Christian Kirk is a great young wide receiver that can come in and learn. But they also the Eagles just cut Torrey Smith, right? And so I think he comes in, fills a need. I don't know, however, how else to say it.
Yeah, no,
Eagles
I think
don't have many holes.
Yeah, he's a very quick. I think he's more Nelson Aguilar than he is like an Alshon Jeffrey. But I think having him and Nelson Aguilar on the same team definitely gives them some options, especially with Zach Ertz at that tight end position. I think that does a lot for them, kind of in the intermediate routes, and which is great for Carson Wentz.
Very good. Yeah,
I have them, and I I texted you as soon as I made this pick, and I said it gave me cancer because it's just like it hurts my soul to do this, but I think that they go Orlando Brown, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. I think somehow that dumbass gets his, like, to snake back up into the end of the first round, because I likened his combine to like showing up to a important corporate job interview wearing like gym shorts and a wife beater. It's like the same. That's essentially what he did at the combine. But I think what's going to happen is the Eagles have, a good offensive line. It's very veteran based, like with Jason Peters at this point, and Jason Peters is a fucking monster. He's an OG. You know what I mean? Not an offensive guard, an OG. Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah, I know. If he can develop the right mindset, like behind the veterans on that offensive line, like I said, Jason Peters, I think that Orlando Brown's going to be the guy to protect Carson Wentz for quite some time. Until his legs give out, because he's so big.
Yeah. I just hope that they don't invite him to the draft, because if they really do call his name and he's the 32nd pick, dude, we're going to be waiting so long for him to walk up to the podium. Like, the guy is so fucking slow.
He's lazy as fuck. He don't give a shit.
Oh my gosh. He's like, I'm going to sit here. Y'all come to me.
No thanks, Raj. He doesn't even like do the handshake or whatever. He lets Roger like hug him.
Yeah, the dude's like all full on the hors d'oeuvres and everything, just sitting at his table. He's like, Orlando Brown. He's like
burping.
Oh shit, Mom, they called my name.
Just the bleh.
Too funny.
Yeah. So, God, that was a long time. Yeah. So, guys, that is our 2018 NFL Mock Draft 1.0. I'm Seb Burnett, and I'm with my buddy Tex here with the back. We are the Backupz. That's what we think about these, but we definitely want to hear what you guys think. You can find us and subscribe to us and review us, coincidentally.
Subscribe.
On Apple Podcasts. You can hear us on Google Play, Spotify, all the big name carriers, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, whatever you use. We're there. We're on all the social medias, man. Just look us up. The Backupz with a Z, y'all.
What?
And anything else to say to our esteemed listeners, Tex?
Thanks for hanging on. This was a long podcast. I'm going to keep talking through everything, and thank you. And if you guys want to come back, here's somebody who's going to talk.
You've been listening to the Backupz Podcast. Follow us on Instagram, find us on iTunes, and visit the website at www.thebackups.com with a Z for more.